name's Michelle and this is my Woolly Wumpkins channel. Welcome back to the crochet along for the Mitred granny square. So, how did you do? How did you get on making your first square? Did you just make one? Did you make two? Did you make 12? Well, however many you made, don't worry, there's plenty of time to get the whole thing done before winter. Winter UK. Winter, that is. It could be winter somewhere else in the world right now. I have no authority over that. Right then, are you ready? No, you're not, because some of you haven't yet subscribed. So you need to subscribe to make sure you don't lose this channel, because what would be worse than not completing your Mitred crochet shawl? It would be not being able to find this crochet along, because then you could never finish it. So come on, press subscribe. Right then, next colour, beige. So our lovely beige, so I'll bring it up nice and close for you. There we go. Did you notice that there's just a subtle contrast between the two colours? Not too drastic. And this is where the 3D starts to take effect. Let's turn the camera around and we'll show you the next part of the crochet work. So we're going to start in the corner hole there. We're going to put our hook in, take our yarn, and we're going to pull it through, and then we're going to secure it by working 1 chain, 2 chains, 3 chains. Okay, now we're going to let go of the end here, and we're just going to be continuing then with the working yarn, and we're going to sew in all these ends at the end. Okay, so we've done a 3 chain row there, which will count as our first treble. I'm just going to make sure that this is in focus. There we go. Is that better? Now we're going to work another 2 trebles into that hole there to give us a 3 treble cluster. So there's 1 treble, and there's the second treble. Okay, so that's a good start to our mitre row. Now here is where the square was closed up, so you just put the yarn to the back and you work a treble into that hole there. The yarn at the back will be sewn in at the end. So there's 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles. Let's just unravel some more yarn. There we go. And as you can see, we've got a nice flat edge coming. We're going to work like this up to this corner here. So up to and including this corner. So we're going to put treble clusters in each of the holes. Here we go. There's my 3rd treble. Onto my next treble cluster. 1, 2, 3. Onto my next treble cluster. 1. It doesn't want to focus today. Why is it doing this today then? Here we are. Hopefully that'll stay in focus a bit better. Ah, is it my finger passing over? Yes. So maybe if I go down here a little. second treble, third treble, and now we're on to our corner treble clusters. So here we go in there, 1, just going to adjust the focus again, 2, 3. So there we go, we've got our first edge of our tan colour mitre. Now we're at a corner, so we want to turn a corner, don't we? So we need 2 chains. 2 chains help us to turn the corner. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do treble clusters all along this edge, starting in the very first hole. So in we go. So just showing you that we've got our corner there. Okay. On to our next treble cluster. And we're coming up to the last treble cluster on this side. Here we go, into the corner. Okay, so let's turn this so we can see it on the blanket. We've got our first mitre. Well done. Now we're going to actually get the second row of the mitre. It's much easier than you think. You just work 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and you turn your work. And then you're going to work along the 2 edges that you've just worked on. So whenever you have a treble cluster and you're turning, you only turn with 3 chains and then move on to the next hole and put a treble cluster in. So here we go, first treble cluster of our return mitre row. Okay, see how that is there? So I'm being a bit quiet here, but I'm simply working the 3 trebles, making a treble cluster in each of the holes that I come across. Next we have a corner. By here. So in we go to the corner. And we work our first treble cluster, 1, 2, 3 trebles, and we want to turn, so we need our 2 chains. So 1, 2 chains, and then work in another treble cluster in the same hole, but it's the first hole of our next side here. There we go. Oops. Making ourselves a corner there. I've got dappled sunlight today. Lovely to have the sun up for a change. Okay, let's carry on this row. How are you doing with your squares? How do you like working your squares? Do you like working one square till completion and then moving on to the next? Or do you like it the way I'm doing it here, which is to work all 12 squares, then all of the 12 mitres in the tan colour, and then all of the 12 mitres in the baby blue colour, and so on. Which do you prefer and why? It's interesting to hear other people's opinions. It's how we learn to be better at what we do. Okay, so we come into our last hole, and as you'll see, the end treble, there's no hole there for us, so we're going to work our last treble cluster in this hole. But we want to be able to give a clean edge to our square here, so we're going to work just one treble in the top of the 3 chains below there. There we go. Okay, let's get this in shot. There we go. So we've got that 1 treble ending and that 3 chain start there, which will give us our straight edges here and here. But now we're going to turn again, so what we're going to do is 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, turn, there we go. But now we want to keep the pattern, so now we're going to put a further 2 trebles in the top of the underneath chain there. Okay, let's show you what I mean. So we're going to go in there. Can you see what I've done? Can you see what I've done there? Let's just get this a bit clearer. Okay, and another treble. And that's our first treble cluster of this row. Now you're going to repeat this row and this row until you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of clusters. Okay? What I like about doing each square at the same time instead of finishing off one square is that, as you know, as the squares get bigger, it takes longer to do each row. So you find then that when you finish a section and it's been getting a bit longer, you can go back then to starting a shorter section. It just gives a bit of variety for me anyway. It stops the every single row getting longer and longer drain, you know. If you've made blankets regularly, you'll know what I'm talking about, where you just know this next row is going to be even longer than the row you're working on, and sometimes it can get to you. This way it's lots of little, you know, you're just jumping back and forth between the two, so just makes things, right, let's tidy that up. So I'm going to undo the yarn. I split the yarn then a bit. I don't want that, if I can help it. So here we go again. Into our corner. Two to turn, 2 chains, back to treble clusters. This is such a simple combination of stitches with such a really lovely effect on the finished item. You'll wonder why you hadn't tried it before. I know I did. That's how I felt the first time I made a mitred square blanket. It's like, why haven't all my granny square blankets been like this? If you want to see my first ever mitred square blanket, have a look through my videos. I made a giant one with really, really chunky yarn. I mean, the yarn was like as fat as my thumb. I had to wind these massive hanks into a giant ball, which there's also a video of that. Broke my umbrella swifts that I'd put the hanks on to unwind from. But we got around it and we managed to make a giant, well, in the end we made one giant grey ball, and then we split the other hank into 3 colours, variations of blue, and you'll see that it's a really, really nice blanket. It's very warm, which is great for British winters. I know they're not as bad as the winters you might get in, you know, Russia, places like that, but they're still very cold for us. Okay, so we're at the end of our mitred row, where the 3 chains are that we started on the row previously. So what we're going to do here, we're going to work a treble into the top of the 3 chains. Now, I like to go actually into the back of the last treble there. It just helps even things up a bit. So there we go. 1, 2, 3. And here we go. It's coming together now, isn't it? You can see how that's still keeping the square shape, but we're just working around the 2 sides of our original square. Now we're going to turn, so it's 1, 2, 3, and I'll work the further 2 rows myself, and I'll see you in just a sec. So we finished with the tan colour now. Our first mitre section is complete, and you can see that the edges are staying quite nice and straight. Our square is becoming bigger and bigger. So let's just pop it on top of our finished square there. Oh, I've put it the wrong way around. this way. So you can see that once it's there we go. Marvellous. Okay, so you just need to do this another 12 times. No, you don't. Actually, you need to do another 11 times with the 11 other squares that you crocheted before today's video. So this is what the squares will look like. It's nice to see all your hard work building up and building up, isn't it? So our next colour section in our next video is going to be our baby blue colour. This one here. And it's going to be a quick section because it's just the one mitered row. So I'll see you at the next video. Keep looking out for it. It'll be along before you know it. I'll pop in the comments the date that it's due. And happy crocheting. And please do tell me, you know, how you go in, any problems you come across, anything that you're enjoying about making this blanket. Please share it with me because I'd love to hear it. Okay, thank you. I'll see you in my next video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. So, thanks again. See you soon.